But I really gambled a little bit with the imagery and all of the things with this in terms of the market shift. And Gary, if you guys can't see my slides or they get stuck, will you give me a heads up?
Yeah.
All right. The theme that I went with was even some of our marketing from a couple of years ago, based around Halloween, and you're going to see here in a little bit. But we all got beat up. I was actually just talking to one of my partners down in Dallas, and he's got a guy doing 60 million, and was like just trying to get a hold of a couple of our other partners to see what was going on. And I was just asking some questions about this guy's business, and it's amazing the amount of sheer grit that a lot of us had this like winter, and even really last summer when the shift started happening around August. It's like, yeah, we closed right under 10,000 houses, and we still grew and we did amazing things, but we've really been sustaining and really fought out this winter to get to where we're at. And so I was really speaking on production when I was there. And I know that, we got 2,500 agents, and it's how do you do that? How do you still stay competitive and differentiate yourself in times that everybody's licensed, the business is thinned out, deals are down 30-40%, interest rates are up, hyperinflation, right? And yeah, we could say, and Jay-Z, did you get that? Hopefully you're good. And so we could say we're just going to play the hands that's dealt to us, or we can stack the deck in our favor. And that's what I was getting at. It's like, ever since I've been in real estate, I started at the bottom, making $300 a week as an I.say, building it up to selling 24 houses my first year, to building our call center, to becoming top performing agent in an independent brokerage that had 5-7 people in it, to becoming a team lead owner essentially in it, and opening expansion offices and all that stuff. And the guy that got me in real estate, his name is Gerbic, and it definitely changed my life. There's my little one, his name is Lincoln, and so that's us hanging out at our lake house, just having fun. This is my 13th, 14th year in real estate. And when I talk about the market shift, when I was making $300 a week, it was during the last downturn. And it was crazy. We had 300 signs in the yard and only 9 homes pending. And it was like I was making phone call after phone call day and night, and I couldn't give away those homes with a free like pizza or hotcake or anything. And so when the market started turning back around, like I really just blew up, and it was something special. But when you're prepared for the market to turn around coming out of 2008, 9, 10, and it's like by 2011, 2012, 13, we were really growing as an independent brokerage at that time. And this is our modern network. This is our group. This is what I spoke to in Cabo about. For you guys that's getting on here late, we're not covering our normal stuff, touching on some of the stuff that I went over in Cabo. What is really when you talk about traditional teams, you got like 50-50 splits, you got a team leader, you got people you work under, and you got your rules and commitments and all these different things. But the modern team is a bunch of other owners, since we're in a single agent owned brokerage, when there's no hierarchy with franchises or any of that stuff, or regional franchise owners and or anything like that. It's totally different. We get to really partner and work with whoever we want to work with. And us, the agents, are building this thing and driving the revenue and stuff like that. And like Andy right here, he's in Toronto. You got Florida, #1 team right there in Maryland, rocking with us all the way out to California, down to Texas. It's just special, and it's just, there's something different to it. And so when you look at Clarence right here, this was the first guy to hit the join button with me, and this is what I was talking about. So when I ended up selling my brokerage that you guys don't know about on here, it took us at least when I, got into real estate, when he brought me on making the $300 a week as I.say, is, yeah, it was like, it took us what, I don't know, 8 years to build up to 90 agents from them 5 to 7. And I ended up selling my equity and stuff in it in exchange for $1. It cost me about 400,000 to launch with this other company once I did it. But this guy was the first person to hit the join button with me. And I never met this guy before. I also had a coaching company and was doing some other things with our call center that we had built. But I ended up, if you can see here, we ended up having 90 agents in 90 days. And I still had a non-compete, non-solicit, non-disclosure in Kansas. I'm in Wichita, by the way, and also in Missouri, because we had some expansion office there. So I couldn't work in those two states for, it should have been 3 years, but it just went down to a year. Talking about the power of one, all you need is like one person like Clarence to believe in you. You know what I mean? And then what took me 8 years to build up before with a lot of other smart people around me and mentorship, it's like we redid in 90 days with technology, tools, rebuilding from experience and financial alignment. The financial alignment piece was way different because now I'm not tied to a P&L with someone else. I'm not worried about me pulling my weight or somebody else not putting enough money into the pot or like any of those things that come along with traditional partnerships. And but the financial alignment on the business side that I'll get into maybe later down the road, whatever, on another call. Even I don't like getting into it on our first call around production for what we've been doing up in Toronto anyways. I wanted to gamify it because we have Ed Milet coming to speak in a couple of weeks or whatever in Florida, Orlando, at the shareholders event. And it's so crazy that he's coming to hear us speak, or we're coming to be our keynote speaker, because if you guys have read his book or studied any of his material, he's like the power of one. And it talks about some alcoholism with his family when he was a child and some of the abuse that went on that he experienced when he was younger. And he went on to be, just look him up. He's a very successful entrepreneur, but also does a lot of speaking and podcasting and giving back and stuff like that. And I never heard of him before. And I might have heard of him, but I didn't really study any of his stuff. And then over this shift or whatever, just seeing what's out there, looking for some inspiration and all that stuff, because you can see right here, it's look beat up. It's like we can throw in the towel and we can quit, or it's no, game on right now. You know what I mean? And so his message really resonated with me to carry it out through Top Agent Experts. We just need to find one more buyer, make one more call at the end of the day, because we're all having to work, twice as hard, it seems, to make less, right? And it reminds me of the work that we were doing in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, things started to turn around. And these are the numbers that Top Agent Experts had done. And so I was able to get paid on 9,600 closings, $3.4 billion. And so our overall group closed way more than that and involved in way more transactions. It's just these were with the uncapped agents. We have a lot of people that make 100% in this model, where it's like if you're a producer and you're taking this seriously, on another call, I can show you how what your actually current net would be with your situation, and or what you would need to do to become an icon agent. And so we could flex some numbers and some sheets for you. It'd be pretty simple, and show you a roadmap to get there. And my message, what's up, Grant? We're doing a little bit different than normally on this call. I'm going through and talking about some of the stuff in Cabo that I touched on, but really took some of the marketing and gamified it to it's a fresh start, right? And so let's not count the cost. Let's not talk about how, it was over the last 5 years, because it was crazy. I restarted from scratch 5 years ago is when I moved over to the single agent owned brokerage and started building on top of this platform. And I was 11th in the nation at the time when I moved over in the team category. And it was like to have 2,500 agents and be closing houses in 5 countries right now. To be doing that, if you would ask me 5 years ago, I would say, no, you're crazy. And so we had to balance back out. But believe me that and I'm talking about, it doesn't matter if I'm at this company or if I'm an independent again, or if I'm at Royal LePage, Remax, it don't matter where I'm at. We're still going to grow a real estate business regardless of the market. And we definitely did that in the last down market with 300 signs in the yard, 9 homes pending, can't give these houses away. I'm hammering the phone 12, 13 hours a day. And then we started dialing in our call center right here, 393. That was my first really probably full year with him when I took it serious, when I got my license. And I said, okay, we got beat up that year. Not beat up, but I thought we would have done better, but there's just a lot of things I didn't know. But I said, we're going to sell 700 homes right here this year. And we were coming back from a conference, and I think that time I was just becoming the team leader, setting a message in front of the group. And he's like, you can't tell people that. He's like, we've never grew by that percent. And I think at that time he was like 43rd or 45th in the nation. He was number 1 in Kansas, running a radio listing business at the time. And I was putting in IDX feeds, internet marketing, all the different things to grow the other parts of the business. And you can't do that. And when we got back, I really thought about it. And I got in front of our group because it was around goal setting time or whatever. And I made it 700. And then he still said 500 to the group, because that's a big jump from 393. And I believe if whatever time, like Tony Robbins said, that you give yourself or any consequence or authority gives you to get something done, that's as long, like you're going to take that long. It's like my son. It's like I showed you my 8-year-old. It's if I tell him to do something and it needs to get done by X amount of time, he's doing it in the final minutes at X amount of time. Versus if I got a gun held to my head and it's like, you're going to do it right now, or you're going to get your brains blown out. It's like, we're going to do this right now. Right. And so I really believe that putting that message out on the internet and with our group, like we were all pulling for it. And ever since then, I'd gotten ownership and I started running the company right here at this year, semi with him. And then I said, we're going to sell 1,000 houses. And then it took us a few more years to get there. And then that's when he really stepped out 100% and really just mentored me from the background and went off and started another business. And we were really in this thing to really create leverage in the business. And now, even what I'm doing now with international team building to drive revenue and show other people what we were doing as independents, was to really be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want. And he really turned me on to that message when I was down in Tony Robbins and I thought I was going to a real estate event. And it's, if you guys have been to a Tony Robbins event, it's like he has us celebrating and jumping around. And at that time I might have been like 33, and you're giving people back rubs. And I don't know, at that time I was like, man, I'm not walking on fire. And I thought we came to a real estate conference, and little did I know that conference was going to end up changing my life. And I thought that this guy was off his rocker when he took me there. But it's like most people want to checklist their way to success, or selling houses, or reading from a script to be able to convert, or looking for that magical funnel with the marketing or whatever. And I've had so many shifts from that event in terms of personal breakthroughs to grow, because it's not about the goals that I was after, or really even the homes or the volume sold or the GCI or the net. It's really the person that I was developing into. over the 12 or 13 years since I've went to that event. And this is me in Puerto Rico, where actually he retired to and moved down there with a bunch of other big team builders and stuff like that. But even though he was down there way before it was cool to move to Puerto Rico for the tax break, but this was me a year ago where we're reflecting back and I made a decision to quit drinking in terms of like everything that was going on in my life. And I'm right around like 15 months. And I was, sharing the process that I went through from the front of the room at Cabo, like at a much, faster rate. The market shifted. My dad passed away. There's some other things that had happened that I actually share at this event. And it's what got me here to where I'm at, right? The type of person it took. I'm not the type of person that's going to build a 5,000 man international global organization. And that's like my next goal. When I said, if you would ask me if I'd be here 5 years ago, I would have said no. My goal was 500 people, modern team, being able to run it from my lake house, all of that stuff. I didn't know that I would go through a divorce after, 9 months into this with my high school sweetheart, 20 years together. I didn't know that my operation person would up and pass away. And he was way smarter than me, been with me 8 years and even left that other company and went and did something else. My non-compete scrubbed legally where he could come with me. And then within us finding out he was sick, he passed away within 30 days. So there's just a lot that happens to all of us. And this is what I was trying to translate to the group there. It's like, this is what separates the good from the greats. It's like I can talk about even some of my struggle with depression or anxiety during stuff with my divorce or high profile cases where I'm selling and getting out of things and making big decisions to dissolve relationships and business things on top of other stuff. And if anything about me, as I touch on here a little bit later, I don't really get into this too much in Cabo, but I came from poverty. I came from a very dysfunctional situation. And when I got around the Tony Robbins stuff and Mike got me around it, I was like, this was a waste of time. And then as I went into it with an open mind, it changed my life and it helped me become more disciplined, with certain things. And what I was challenging the group to do, it's like we all took a hit. We all did personally, with the industry, maybe losing agents, income down. It put some people almost out of business. Mergers happened. Me and Mike wouldn't be together if the last downturn wouldn't happen, right? And what I asked the group to do, it's like, what do you need to do to get your fire, burning hot again? And it's like shit happens to all of us. And so the reason I was able to share all of that is I didn't want people to feel sorry for me, or I didn't want people to be like, oh, like he's all great because he's persevered all this stuff. I just wanted you guys to know that you go through the same stuff too. It's just like, remove names and faces and all of that stuff. But for me, where I was at with the next like hurdle or obstacle in my life was I was looking too outward, and it's I needed to start to master myself. I was just turned 41 in whatever January, and I've been through a lot of stuff and done and accomplished a lot. And so I'm like self-reflecting. It's not about the money. It's not about the thousands of houses. It's not about all these other things that I thought that I was after at one point in time. And then I found myself, I don't know what it was over the last couple of years, but it's just not really fulfilled or whatever. And so there had to be a deeper meaning, and it's like the impact with other people. And the coaching company, I don't coach for dollars anymore. It's like people can come and try to spend $1,000, $2,000, and I won't take any amount of money. It's for whatever reason, I did that for a long period of time. And yeah, the money's great and you got to show up and deliver, and it's great too. But there's just a lot of turnover, and I want depth to my relationships. I want to be able to build an empire with like you, right? And get to know your kids. And we're going to have good days and we're going to have bad days and all that stuff. But being able to share the systems and stuff like that with the marketing, really from Cabo, I went into some rapid fire after this in terms of, I didn't know if they were entrepreneur in the crowd, or if they're a manager of that brokerage or a technician on the agent side of things. And so with Jay-Z and what we did, we loaded up. You guys have access, a lot of you guys, or a few of you guys on here too, whatever you want of our swipe file. But I overloaded this up. I wanted to drop so much value on them because people, it's like they're down, they're out, they don't know where their next deal is going to come from. We just need to get one more listing, right? Go change one more life through like what and my like message was, it resonated with me, that I pushed on the group, right? Just get one more listing, set up one more marketing campaign, and focus on dialing in more nets, get more campaigns get set up. And it is, for me, being able to work with top performing partners and to coach people is they get one pillar set up to three, right? And then they just keep working it. And when I'm talking about how can you close 20 to 30 homes week in and week out without fail, just like we were doing, you have to take one lead source and you have to become the expert in with it, like in that, and get that predictable, and then move on to the next one. And if people want to get an I.say or just randomly throw a bunch of stuff at someone without mastering the art and science behind it. And I believe that FSBOs and expireds are going to be a big pillar over the next couple of years, as there's a thinning of agents, and now it's market expertise with location, price, condition, and a moving market is going to confuse a lot of the agents that are sticking around and that weren't the 30-40% that got cut, and or just sellers thinking their home's worth more and don't want to believe the agent for whatever reason, and they're going to burn through agents or list it themselves. And making calls with expireds is good, but what I'm working on personally behind the scenes, I'm going to show you guys, and I talked about this at Cabo a little bit, was go to thanks.io. And for the ones of you guys that are on here for Canada, there's another company and we can get them to you. But this is going to be a big game changer. So when Mike was on the radio, the ambience that we had with indoctrinating them with our message, just like they hear us on the radio and then they become an expired. Back then, it was a big pillar for us. And then we're calling them and asking them if they've received any of our literature outlining our aggressive marketing plan. And that's one of the first questions we hit. And it's like, I've already been called 5 times today, or why didn't you guys call me when we had the home listed, right? And so with, at least if you have just a basic offline strategy with the online strategy, making calls to them, you're already starting way ahead of all the other people that could be calling them or are calling them, because most people aren't timing the message or the drips or the value propositions to position themselves in any authoritative way with them. When the market started to turn in Kansas City, when we were opening that expansion office, and I can remember, like, I had a apartment up there because I was staying up there 1 week out of the month, and I was on the phone with one of my coaches, and it's like people wouldn't want to come in for consultations and drive anymore. So we started doing buyer consultations over Zoom and getting signatures on the broker agreements, like when digital signatures were just first coming out. And it was really forward thinking at the time when the market started to shift back to a buyer's market at that time. And even being able to take like an MLS sheet, as you can see right here, and mark it up and go drop it off on their door. If you're with, if that's the area you're working, if you're like trying to become the neighborhood mayor, the trusted advisor within that zip code or that area, yeah, like other people were calling them and hammering them, and it's there other people were calling them and mailing stuff to them, and it's trying to create that inbound approach with QR codes, and the AI piece is tied into the Thanks IO, and I'll spend any time later with any of our people that could be on here wanting to know more about it. But yeah, that's all cool. But the person that goes and tapes something to their door that is hyper local and they're a specialist, and it's like a few notes and a few maybe thoughts, or you catch them on the porch or whatever, you're just really differentiating yourself. And so some of these things that I believe that are old school techniques, and there's no way in hell I would have ever done like that when I got in the business, when I moved more digital and online, and when we were killing it with this funnel before. But I wouldn't have wasted too much time on this funnel even over the last couple of years. The data, the leads haven't been there, and everybody's calling versus going and creating leads other ways. And having that strategy is going to be important. But how cool is it when they hit that QR code, and then how the video and the retargeting comes into play, in the sequencing of like when you could actually get them on the phone and know in today's day and era, like what they have seen, and the handwritten stuff with AI is powerful. And with the FSBOs, it's like, this is going to be an easy one. Is if you're broke and you don't have money and you can't buy, we'll just say even home evaluation leads, or single opt-in seller leads, or double opt-in seller leads, or creating any type of content, how we seen the worry-free listing box with the pre-listing packet and the QR code in there. And it's, if you can't afford to do all of that stuff yet, it's like there FSBOs are going to be a big opportunity, but you just can't approach a FSBO and say, all right, hey, we want to list your house or whatever. First of all, there's a couple of things that you're going to have to overcome with the stranger on a FSBO. They've had a bad experience with an agent before, and that's the reason they're not using an agent. And so they're going to categorize you and put you in that category and judge you in that same manner. Or they're trying to save some money because they could be, for an example, when we had 300 signs in the yards, only 9 homes pending. It wasn't because we were good at marketing or couldn't sell homes. A lot of people were upside down, a lot of short sales, foreclosures, and like people were bringing money to the table, losing the sellers just so they could close on their home. Right. And so there could be some equity issues there, and or they are still believing the market is what it was 6 months ago, or even hell, 3 months ago, or 12 months ago, for what their neighbor got, or somebody at work told them so and so did this, and so they're just trying to test the water on their own. But if you get in and build a relationship, and it's like how I've built my companies, it's through the law of reciprocity, doing for others and not really expecting anything in return. And so taking their asset and asking them if you can add them to your database, and you do reverse lookups, and you can mix and match them with other buyers in your database. And if you end up selling their house, would they end up paying you 4% or 3% instead of the full 6 or 7 or 5.5 or 6, whatever your traditional listing rate is, but split that in half if you sell it, and I'll add you to my database. And so they'll be like, yeah, if you actually bring me the buyer, yeah, then I'll pay you whatever. And then you can take a little listing questionnaire or seller questionnaire, even though you already have all the information about the house from Vulcan 7, Torchex, whatever, but you're building that rapport. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your property. They're going to tell you, I got it on Zillow, or I got it on FSBO site over here. And it's, I didn't see that. I only see this little bit of information, right? And it's like you want them to start talking about their house like we do when we're setting our listing appointments and qualifying them, right? And then you can make them an offer. And if it ends up being one that is like the bread and butter of the average sales price, good location, hopefully you've targeted it where you can go and hold an open house for them, right? See if they'll let you do that, spend a little money running ads in that area to generate foot traffic to come into that asset to build your database as well, right? And chances of you selling that house are whatever 3 to 5%, whatever that is, but you're able to leverage that asset and start building your own database, and then your face and your name is actually out there for one day. It looks like you got a listing, right? Or even if they let you hold it open for a weekend and maybe 2 days. But what happens is that rapport that's being built, and they see that you're blasting it out on email, or you've done some marketing for them and you've done other things. You haven't asked for nothing, right? But we know after within 70 some days, on average, if they need to sell, or they've already met a realtor, they're going to work with the first realtor that they started working with, and they're going to hire that a realtor within 72 days. And so everybody was calling on day one, week 4, all of that stuff. And so if there's a process of leading with the law of reciprocity, and I say, I'm not going to, giving you some snapshots of it, who are they going to hire when they actually need to get relocated out of the state for work and stuff? Like, it's okay, now the time frame and the motivation like need to happen, and you need to bring a pro in. They're going to hire you. And so being able to have a strat, and I've got away from them over the last couple of years as well. These are pillars that will be coming back. I also touched on the Google My Business stuff because I was bringing value really in Cabo on the production side of things, and then also cheaply. And as you can see in that bottom right hand corner, this was a webinar I was on, and these are some shots from that person's webinar. But it's like the Wild West right now with trying to rank on top of rankings with the Google My Business page. But I would be focusing a lot of time on YouTube and then Google My Business page, and start posting all your social media stuff from native inside of Google, and then working more inside of the app in a social way, the map, I'm sorry. And then obviously TikTok. And I just got TikTok going and making a push there, and building back YouTube and stuff, because when you talk about Google owns like the search engine that these other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, are competing for your attention at, right? And so who are they going to rank higher? Their stuff. It's like when you see the 24% down here that land on your Google business profile are going to call you, come list my house now. That's staggering, because that's free. And how many times, and I started thinking about that when I was on his webinar, and it's like, how many times have you been on the map and you just hit call that business, right? And so for me, I don't necessarily know if I look at the top 3, I look at maybe the top 5 that pulls up in that page, and being able to post your videos. And the cool part was some of the hacks that I've seen, like when you go into a restaurant, like just take a picture of their menu, upload it. Or if you're in an area that you really like with some of the geotagging, and just go, maybe you're not organically in that area, but start taking pictures of the park or the neighborhood coffee shop, or like maybe the dog park, or if there's anything to do with water or whatever, like a lake or whatever, and just start building some content where you want to start getting leads in, and Google will see, okay, this person's a real estate agent, and this is also somebody that is local in that area. And we have our agents. I generate leads for our team, and so I don't do this through my personal profile with the Boulevard Group yet, because my team leader manages it. But I was telling him it's I had to take back over that profile and run it like my personal profile, because I'm going to start leaving reviews on other people, dropping Q&As on there. And you can even up it, but from a social standpoint, Google is becoming competitive in the social media arena. And so I would make sure that not only that everybody's just looking for reviews with the Google business profile. And yeah, you need the reviews, but you also need to be doing all these other things right here, from posting videos to taking pictures with actual caption and content, making Google posts like you would on any other social media site. And I ask people all the time, do you know how to post inside of Google? And they're like, no. Okay, go look up the map side of things and go pull your business outside of the maps, and that is your back door or your front door into being able to post, and just like LinkedIn and stuff like that. And when you talk about the other types of lead generation, I just said pick your niche, and that's what I was telling them. It's focus on your one thing and then master that one thing. I don't care what it is. It could be Google My Business stuff, which is, to me, it's like 26% are calling that hit your profile. And those are listing leads, free leads. You're talking about listing leads. Those could be $400 or $500 a pop. And then some of the passive prospecting stuff that you see, the way Levi and Travis are doing with YouTube and killing it, doing over 100 million without prospecting because of the evergreen prospecting through YouTube that they have going on. It's phenomenal. And so the times are changing, but you can door knock still. You can do whatever, right? I'm just telling you where I would start, what I'm working on, and then feeding that funnel into being able to focus on high leverage activities, prospecting, selling, negotiating, and taking inside sales a little more serious. When we built the call center up and we did all of that stuff, it was necessary to build longer term relationships because the cash conversion cycle was just a lot longer. We had to, my team leader in Wichita just posted, hey, who's got 20 agencies, right? And the thing was like, who carries agencies, right? We get them signed when we are writing the buyer contract or whatever. And it's like the market that we're going back into, that's not how it's going to be. It's like when you talk about the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, like bottom of the funnel, it's like you don't want to capture them right at the top of the funnel like we have been. It's like as fast as we can get out and look at homes and write as many offers as we can, and hopefully we can get one accepted on the buyer side without the fatigue kicking in, was what we like what they were doing. Is I need an agent that can get an offer accepted. And then it's what listing agent's willing to upload my listing into MLS for the highest amount of money, right? And that was the game. And now we're getting back to more of a business conversation on the listing side, i.e. that's why expired and FSBOs are going to be a big thing, because of just the lack of the expert knowledge in the game. And on the buyer side, being able to actually carry a book of business with agencies out to 6 months, obviously fire me at any time and all that stuff that we have with our unique value propositions. But it's just one of these things where you're going to have to build that relationship with them in that middle of the funnel. And it's like 6 months, but 6 months is nothing. And they'll end up purchasing within 2, or it could be 3, but you want to catch them early enough that someone else don't get them, because everything's going to be thinned out to where they got faith in you. You've deposited enough value. They believe in the unique value propositions and you helping them hit their goals, where when they go through the dream stage, information gathering stage, actively looking stage, and the psychology, not just inside the funnel, the cash conversion stages that they go through in terms of needing information. you are that trusted source. And when you talk about KV Core, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., and like most people just have their one website that's tied into the IDX feed. And with KV Core, the ladies that we had on Monday on our mastermind, they were showing you how they were how they've sold hundreds of houses with us and not paid for a single internet lead, when I've spent thousands on internet leads. Like right now, I'm one internet lead source is costing me $90 a pop, and they're out here generating them off of sweat equity by creating landing pages that are very hyper optimized to neighborhoods, towns, military based stuff, you name it. And then building community through social media and social farming is what they call it, to generate leads and buyers and sellers. And they have never paid for a lead ever. And so you need to create more landing pages. And so don't just rely on your one landing page or one main IDX feed opt in, but you probably really need about 25 to 30 of these, and you need to make the net bigger. Internet traffic's down, right? So click-throughs are down, opt-ins are going to be down, sales are down, right? And so you can't spend your way to success, but what we can do is build a bigger mouse trap, right? To get more of that. And then the next step would be, as I'm telling you, to create more landing pages, but it's also like less landing pages, right? And it's called an invisible funnel. And so being able to set up as like within your chats, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, like you name it, wherever they can engage with you at, when they respond back, or you could put other keywords or triggers in emails to the campaign, and it will automatically pull them into your CRM and turn them into a lead. And it's like they never hit an opt-in button, they never hit a landing page, they never seen a headline, they never seen any call to action or any of that stuff, right? But through something like mini chat, and there's other ones out there as well that are helping you build your database with invisible funnels, and that helps. I gave them the referral sites that these are third-party pay-to-play sites for most part. Some you got to pay monthly flat fee or whatever too. And there's the things we give our partners, like, and a lot of us could be regional, or we're tied in with Rise, and so we get coached on the algorithms, how to hack the algorithms, stay top of the algorithms, little surfing guidelines. And a lot of these are built off AI, where they're self-learning. And so even the executives and people with these companies, when you're tied in at the top, they're telling you what they think the algorithm should be doing, and why you're falling out of lead flow, or you're not getting leads, or you're getting crappy leads, right? But other people are getting good leads. And we coach our people on the stuff that we're coached on in terms of how to hack the algorithm, or basically just stay current with it. And so these are all companies you guys can get signed up with. I talked about, shout out to Chris Gurney. I talked about him a little bit in Cabo at that mastermind. Not only does he have co-marketing agreements, which everybody needs to get these done, where it's okay, instead of you just taking deals to lenders or whatever, it's like they're going to help carry the costs. And so we have a RESPA approved contract. They've been vetted through tons of different compliance departments that got accepted. And, we got this done, tied back in with our call center many years ago. And especially when RESPA was a big deal and it was a hot topic. And so put a lot of time, energy, and effort into getting this thing approved. And yeah, the big banks like Bank of America and the bigger institutions, you're not even gonna get into the compliance department for review with this stuff. But at least you can start to manage your costs, whether it's splitting lead costs up, if you got an inside sales agent, any of the technology with the auto dialers or whatever, show how to get all that stuff set up to drive costs down. Or you can use success lending and or some of the ancillary services inside of what EXP has going on, and really talked about being able to drive that revenue. And when you get down this rabbit hole of production, it's like it has to be split. And a good book to read is Conversion Code by Chris Smith. And being able to really build out that traditional team model is having that assembly line real estate. Everybody calls herself a team, and they could be a self-organized group, or really even just a husband and wife team with a couple of assistants or whatever. But that ain't the true team. And it's like really when you take every piece of the process with real estate from inside and outside sales, and then even we'll just call that the front of the house, and in the back of the house with the transactions department and listings department and the carriers and marketing and all that stuff, to really have specialized roles inside of your organization. If you were building a car by yourself or with another person, how long would that take? And we see the old timers do it and say they spend their whole golden years putting together this 32 something, right? Versus if you got an assembly line, Toyota's kicking out how many cars. And really being able to build a machine and feed that machine through marketing and developing good talent to run those systems with people, processes, and all that stuff is what we were able to do. But from the conversion piece of it with the marketing stuff and some of the stuff I touched on today, a good book is with Chris Smith, and looking to be able to get a deal done with him. And from the marketing piece, guys, I'm going to tie a bow onto some of this stuff, as there's just a lot that I covered. Was the Rams program. If you're already doing business, and we were bad at this. We had the Raving Fans program, past client program. We had moving trucks, margarita machines. You could rent power washers from us. Like we did a lot of stuff, and we did our client appreciation parties and stuff like that. But it wasn't until our last few years, when you're talking about closing 1,000 homes a month with a select group of people out of Wichita, that was we could have tap rooted through those relationships better. And it was my fault being young running it, and we were so just into internet marketing and crushing it that the lifetime value of a client I really didn't understand at that time. And so the Rams program, that is essentially Michael Mayer's 7 levels of communication with your top 150 relationships, and them being able to be your almost sales team, right? They want to see you win, and you're basically spending not money to Google or Yahoo or Bing or whatever, but you're putting a little bit of sweat equity into just like the social media girls that I was talking about, that selling hundreds of houses, building a database. And I did the math on the average lead per cost. She saved $60,000 that she would have paid Google over the last couple of years. And there's teams on here running this program, individual agents doing high production. And so we took that program and swiped it, and we're setting it up for agents in our network. But everybody needs to have this program set up, and not necessarily just the Rams stuff, but a legit past client program, because these leads are being generated. The referrals are coming in a predictable way for $1.72 or $1.80, right? And so how many times would you pay $1.80 for your mom to refer you? Business. I would do that all day long, right? And that's way better than just an internet lead. And because I touched on, this is just the reality of where we're at with internet leads. It's 12% are very satisfied. Are you satisfied with your conversion rate, or your marketing? Is it stuck in the mud, or some of your old sales stuff not working right now? What was even working a year ago has changed, and the marker is moved. It's like I was talking to a lady the other day where they were getting 100 leads a month off this one pillar that they got set up, and they had 2 coming in the last 30 days. It's crazy. And if you're still operating with the same business plan, same messaging and same offer as you were like, she's 3 months ago, 6 months ago, like you're behind. I'm working day and night. You can go out here and we can generate like Google, Yahoo, Bing leads, whatever, but we know that's going to be the lower quality ones. But when we start doing what those Jen and Jess is their name, putting some marketing behind it with some sweat equity and being able to build a brand, right, in a community with, with a hyper local role or trusted advisor tied into those like groups and how they're doing it. The leads are less than, right, then you could just go and pay Google or Yahoo or a single opt-in for, but they're going to be a little higher quality, right? And so when I'm looking around and we're looking at marketing and stuff like that, it's take a step back and then it's like evaluate. It's, you might have 10 different lead sources, you might do a bunch of different things, but narrow it down to 3 because less is more, and just make sure that you take over that niche or that messaging within that, and with the social proof and the how you're positioning like your offer within that community and become the clear winner with it. And so me and NASDAQ, January, whatever, 12th or 20 some, where you see I'm there with Glenn and I think 20 some people were invited this time around for their contribution. And we got to go ring the NASDAQ bell. I'm not here because of the stock. We're all here because of different reasons. There's about 5 major reasons why people were here. I had a real business constraint with my expansion team was selling houses when I was bouncing around from 9th to 12th in the nation from 2012 to 2017. And I was like, I was looking for the business solution tools inside of enterprise. Nobody could articulate it to me, but I'm obviously the stock. I'm thankful for it. I've been able to change people's lives through it with what I've been able to offer my agents or partners that never had the opportunity to earn before as an owner. And now it's, you talk about that retirement plan, or a lot of the older agents will, but I didn't come here to retire. I didn't come here to build equity. I was already an owner. We already was doing well. We're keeping 100% of the just 4.5 million in GCI that we were doing. And it's like we're doing well. And keep in mind, our average sales price here in the Midwest is low compared to up in Toronto. And so it was a great experience seeing all this come full circle when you see like average agents selling houses and doing whatever they're already doing and being able to build ownership here. And even like looking at their faces and getting to know and hear some of the stories with some of these people. Obviously I know of them or whatever, but I wasn't maybe in business with just a couple of these people here. It was a good experience, and just talked about the live and direct piece that we have with being able to train I.say. This is one snapshot with the experiential learning piece to this and how we get agents ramped up and all of that fun stuff. Went through the numbers a little bit. We're almost here at the top of the hour, guys. And if we got, let me see here. Did Paul end up making it on here? Man, I was going to answer something specifically for Paul. So this is about what I got to, and I left them with a bunch of other slides, was I.say piece, because then you get into, okay, we're going to drive revenue inside and outside and scale valid conversations to appointment rates. And this is like the holy grail with the live transfers. And then the Jumpstart program, what Gary and them are good at right now is taking the agents and plugging them in within the system and getting a new, that I wouldn't say new, we've been up there building with partners for a couple of years now, but depending on where they fall in the organization, to scale off of free leads or business or whatever, so they're not having to carry all that cost or like any of that stuff up front. Like we'll help fund that and work out a deal with them until they can, really get up on their own or going, and being able to have all of the presentations and the unique value propositions built out from the home buyer advantage program, worry free listing program, the 89-point marketing plan, just refinish that, to the certified pre-home check, all these different unique value propositions. And this is me on here, but I don't put myself on the celebrity marketing anymore. So we put the agent there or whatever, if they like to be there. It's These are like what I dumped on them. And can you guys imagine that I got all of that out in about 20 minutes with the fire with that? And then I wrapped up in Cabo there with the team piece. And this is where I'll leave a handful of you guys. So this is Mike, I pulled him out of retirement when I'm saying he went and moved there. He told me I was crazy for making the leap over here and all that stuff. And then about 2 years into it, when I don't know, it was probably right under 500 agents at the time. Because remember, that was my 5-year goal, right? And so he's like, all right, you're probably onto something. And then I got him to jump over with me. And so this kind of like right here where I ended it in Cabo is on this piece where it goes full circle about what I was talking about with Tony Robbins. And it's not necessarily okay, close 9,600 houses and you tell people I'm doing all this stuff, and it's hard to get your mind wrapped around it, but it's hard for me to as well. But it's about doing the right things in the right financial order and getting around very smart people. And so I've just been thankful to get around like the shoulders of the giants that I could stand on, to get into the rooms or masterminds, to be able to do what I've been able to do, but also developing into the person that I needed to, and taking my personal development serious with working on my character, my skills, my mindset, because Gerbic says it best, it will rarely outpace your business. And that's what I was harping on to the group. And then when you saw the personal development piece that I was talking about, it's like most people think it's tied into the production or positive thinking. It's none of that stuff. And I've had to do this a couple of different times, like confront different aspects of my life that I find unacceptable and really integrate them into the identity of my own self in a constructive way. And this where I ended in Cabo, even though I left them with a bunch of other slides, like it's you versus you, like game on. And so really took it and gamified this stuff in terms of being able to master, if you're frustrated or you're blaming the market being down, or you're blaming interest rates, or you're blaming the government, or you're blaming your wife, or you're blaming whoever, right? And it's like this stuff has happened before, right? We've been here. And a lot of people are basically what I like to call bad quitting. And it's like a reflection of lack of activities and focus, and not having that radical focus. And we tend to want to blame the economy or agents or staff members or anyone else but us. And it's been easy the last couple of years. Like it has been. And so it's, you got to recommit and go back to mastering yourself. Right. So what I was saying is Adam Bailey 2.0, and really going deep on what I had to go through and the bullshit stories that I was telling myself and all that stuff. Cause we can have all the scripts in the world. We got scripts that can convert. We got scripts for buyers, sellers, all of these different things that we have going on. And it's none of it matters at all if you're not helping other people level up and And when you are playing a victim or whatever, and you're the leader of your family, your organization, your team, or whatever, and it's like you made a commitment to pull people up and all of that fun stuff. And here's some of the numbers that we can get into on a private call. I'm not going to share them. I don't know who's still on here, but yeah, these are all the numbers and stuff like that that I can break down on the back end to you guys, all of that stuff. But get with the people that invited you here. Touched on a lot of marketing today, and normally we would break down a little bit of the model tied in, or the model tied into the production piece. But if you're having some down moments and all that stuff, we're going into spring. We just had to get to spring. So if you made it this far, you just need to do what? Find one more buyer. If you made it this far, find one more seller. If you're also, owning and building your business while you're selling, go find one more quality person to hire or help or partner to find, because setbacks were created to actually make us better. Like, it's not called a breakthrough. And a lot of you guys are going to have a breakthrough soon. I believe it, but it's supposed to break you before the breakthrough. And so get with a person that invited you here, and then we can break down more of the business numbers side of things, or I'll help you with your marketing funnels or any of the other funnels that you like to look at, because there's many more. But what you got to be able to do is do what others refuse to do. And if you want to be able to live like others can't, because there's going to be a lot of people that do very well through this purging. And so I don't know if you're building a team, individual agent, or whatever, but the stages of growth and all that stuff, we definitely have it figured out. We're moving a lot of units. And so the more you work on your mastery of skills of adding value to others constantly and overcoming those personal fears, the greater the relationships that you'll build. And so I'm going to leave it here, as I'm just still bouncing through my slides in Cabo. It's, stop taking advice from people who are not living the life where you want to be. It's like when I talked about me coming from poverty and messed up situations, and I had to cut my friends off and don't even talk to half my family. It's just because it's like they're not going where I'm trying to go. It doesn't mean that I'm better than them or anything like that. It's I'm breaking a chain and dysfunction. And what I didn't tell you about when I even said about drinking, my mom is a severe alcoholic, and I'm turning 41, and it's just started showing up in a different way and deviating me from goals or whatever. It's no longer social. And so I got a choice, just like you got a choice. And that's the beautiful thing about all of this stuff. We get to wake up every day and do it all over again. And it's not like, why is it happening to me? It's happening for us, which is a beautiful thing. And so make good choices. Go find somebody that is thriving in areas that you are looking to take on or struggling within, and take advice from them. And don't listen to any family members or friends or anyone else that has not walked in your shoes, is not trying to go in that same direction and show up where you want to show up. I'll see you guys later.